Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh discussion video. So if you do not want any spoilers on VRains, any major spoilers, you might want to click off this video now. There was a very obscure reference made in the most recent episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, episode 114, that was pointed out to me on Twitter by a user named Rory French Fries, and the user that actually made the tweet was at Nayuki Azakura, so big thank you to both of them for pointing this out to me. I did also check in with DMC to make sure these translations were correct, and he basically confirmed more or less that yes, they are correct translations. So as we know, episode 114 just had what I thought was a very well-executed death scene in Robapi. It's pretty amazing to me that a cleaning appliance was maybe the saddest death scene we have seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general in quite a long time. I definitely was not expecting it to have nearly the impact on me that it did, and I know a lot of people in the community, based on comments on my review, also felt that this was a very sad scene, but there is another element to this that makes it that much more depressing. When you look at this room, when Robapi is turned back into a robot and is cleaning in the flashback, it monologues to itself and basically says it's most happy when it can keep Yusaku's room clean, and Yusaku is happy that it does a good job. Now, if we look at the book on the desk, which of course is something that I didn't think anything of when I was first watching the episode and the scene, because you're very overwhelmed with emotion the first time you're watching it, and it was just a very impactful scene. We see a book that has an image of Robapi on the cover, and the book translated roughly says, "Let's make Robapi weekly edition." And why that makes this scene so much more impactful is if you go back into the past, you realize that Yusaku actually created Robapi with his own two hands. Robapi is his own creation, and we know high school and growing up was very tough for Yusaku. We know he went to therapy for trauma. We know that he did not have any friends in high school. His only friend was really Shoichi, and that was through Playmaker, so we don't even know if at this point in time he was Playmaker and he even had Kusanagi as a friend. So through the eyes of Yusaku, a regular day would be him waking up, going to school, probably not talking to anyone, coming home to no friends, to no family to our knowledge, and the only thing that he had to give him some sort of happiness and comfort even was Robapi. Robapi was the only thing that was keeping him company back in the day, something that he built with his own two hands. Now, I compared Robapi's death scene to like putting down a pet, and I put down my first pet a few summers ago, actually I think 2 summers ago, and it's one of the toughest things you will ever have to do. A pet is there to give you unconditional love, and to have to say goodbye to it one day is a very, very excruciatingly tough thing to do. And that is essentially what Yusaku had to do in this moment. We see Yusaku get overwhelmed with sadness before he tells Soulburner to finish it off, basically put Robapi out of its misery. Robapi then looks into the flame and talks about how it's a beautiful, beautiful light before being incinerated and killed off. And while I was watching the scene, while I didn't cry, I did get a little choked up because in the moment it did remind me of when I had to put down my pet, and essentially that's what this scene was. And when you look deeper into it with this reference, it just makes it 100 times more sadder to think that this was the only thing that kept Yusaku company back in the day, and it adds so much depth to an already, I thought, brilliantly executed and very emotional scene. Probably one of the saddest scenes in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, let alone VRains. And that's coming from someone who did not like Robapi at all when Robapi turned into a human, when I created Robapi's human Elias. And this was a thing that was literally comedic relief for the first 2 seasons, the first 100 episodes of the show. It was comedic relief. And yet Yu-Gi-Oh! Delivered with a surprisingly powerful and emotional death scene. And this little ode, this little Easter egg, just adds layers and layers to an already very depressing scene. And guys, please down below let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you caught this reference when you first watched it, or maybe you saw it on Twitter or heard it on a forum, or if this is your first time catching a reference like this. I think it's really cool that they did add a bit of an obscure layer to this scene. Because I think it just enhances an overall scene, and I wish they kind of did that a little more. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Usually is pretty good for leaving in little Easter eggs and nods like that. So again, big thank you to the users on Twitter for pointing this out to me and for posting it. Really do appreciate it. And please let me know what you thought of the most recent VRains episode and the Robopi death scene down below. Do you think it's one of the best death scenes in all of Yu-Gi-Oh? Do you think it's the top death scene in VRains? Do you think it beats out Earth? Or maybe there's another death scene from VRains that you thought was a little sadder? Please let me know down below. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Jordan Osceola, Smith620, RedEye, FrostReaper, Jorge Leon, Melinda Phantom, and Blue Maiden 28, and to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood, Garrett Palmer, Galladiator, and Ben Hartz, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons Syn Cloud, Chris Swan, Matthew Kennedy ×2, and Joss Rivers. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and is a channel member, and thank you to everyone who just watches these videos. I will talk to you all down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. 今まぶた閉じたらそばに感じる君がくれた言葉悔しい涙も流れ流れまた季節は